This conference will now be recorded.
All right, today is Thursday, September 20th. So after yesterday having a completely phenomenal day, things are definitely slowed down a little bit coming into the pre-market this morning. Just one statement I do want to make. Just remember, all these meetings are always intended for educational purposes. Only nothing is ever intended as any type of investment advice. So let's talk about what we got going on first. Biggest thing going on in the pre-market is NBEV. So we got a beautiful move coming up, and it moved up a bunch on not really too much volume, but look at the time period it did. And then once 8 o'clock came in, it basically was just trading as a normal stock would trade as the market opened. So one thing to think about is that we have a whole bunch of buying that came in at 6. We also had a whole bunch of selling that came in above 6. And based off what we just saw right here coming down on these prints around that 50 level, it's showing that it still has more of a pullback to go. So there certainly is money above at 6 that needs to make money that has not made money yet. But you got to understand something with these cheaper stocks. A lot of times what we end up seeing is they kind of fizzle out. Now, do I think that NBEV is going to fizzle out? No, I don't. I still think it's got room back up towards that 6 area, but I really want to see something big, a real big trigger coming back into there because, like I said, just these cheaper stocks, you just got to pay, a little bit closer attention. You need a little bbit more in them because sometimes they do have their 5 minutes of fame. Like I said, I don't believe that NBEV, for some reason I can't say it. I don't truly believe that this is going to be one of them based off the volume that we see going on out there, and then also that new buying that came in above. Just keep that in mind. So overall, looking for a trigger back up towards that 6 level, but I still do, still looking for a little bit more of a pullback from that selling that we saw coming at 550. Next one looking at is NIO. So NIO has been real interesting, and it's not the best looking stock right now, and it hasn't been the best looking stock. It trades a little bit quanty at times, but the thing to look at is that we did get some really nice prints that came in around that 9, some really good new buying that came in, new position came in at that 9 level on the ask. So expecting after this pullback for this thing to go back up above that 9 level. And another thing to keep in mind is just remember, we still have a bunch of buying at 1250, 13 and 1350 all the way up here. So based off the chart, we know that's a little bit longer term, but there's still people up there that have to make their money. So getting those prints in at 9, I definitely like what I see, especially with that money sitting back up above. Next one is MU. So MU this morning is starting to push a little bit, and coming back to this 46 level, it did pull back, not as much as I would have expected, but we did get some really nice prints. If it lets me go down, okay, earlier 8 o'clock, you could see right here 46. We had some really nice pre-market prints, and look, based off of the orders that you can see out here, see how thin our orders are. The difficulty of trade is certainly there, so I'm looking for a little bit more of a pullback from that 46 level before we end up seeing this thing come back up based off of those prints. Just great new buying. Has been getting some selling coming into it, but once again, based off those prints, I'm expecting that. It's all going to be about the new buying. And then also, pulling back from that 46. We do have a print line at 45.80, so that would be an acceptable spot for that pullback to come in from MU before we end up seeing this thing go up. Next one, let's talk about POTS, TLRY. All right, so in TLRY today, we all know yesterday, what happened, and it's a crazy stock. So in the earlier times, we would see 1 print, 2 prints, and that would be acceptable because it moves off of those. But because of what happened yesterday, and because of the fact that it's nuts right now. Okay, the amount of movement that it makes, I am going to have to see a show of hand in this stock that is 4, 5, 6 prints like we saw yesterday after it, when it really started pushing back up after we were done with our afternoon meeting, when it pushed to that 300 level. All right, so if I see 1 print, that's not going to be good enough for me. Okay, 2 prints, not going to be good enough. I need to see someone take a real position in the stock in order for me to feel comfortable with doing anything with it. I know most people probably weren't able to get shares to short. If you're, puts, obviously you could use puts instead, but overall, based off of what we saw yesterday, I still think that this thing has some more room towards that downside. But what I think doesn't matter. Okay, we need to see those prints, and we need to see a burst of them. Why is it already showing today's daily on the chart? 9. Oh, very interesting. I have no idea. That's weird. Let's take a look. Does it do it on everything? No, I don't know. All right, that goes it goes further into showing you, Eddie, that this thing is nuts. I have no idea. That probably shouldn't be happening, but it's there. All right, so let's it's you know what? It's a duplicate of the same exact one, same exact thing as yesterday. So I'm sure that will fix itself once once the market opens. All right, so let's talk about Cron. Cron I like a lot better than TLRY. Reason being, it's just more controllable. You'll make way more money on TLRY, but looking at Cron, look at these prints at 13. So we know in Cron that we are expecting a very, very big drop before this thing ends up coming back up towards those prints at 15, if ever, because, you know, if the bubble popped yesterday, bubble popped. But I don't think that's the case. There's a lot of prints sitting there at that 15 level. But we're going to be expecting a pull up in Cron, okay, and then a move towards that downside. Not only do we have such great prints in it right now, but yesterday we had amazing prints as well. So we know there's a lot of people in this that are expecting this thing to go down, and that's who we're going to be following. This is probably something we're going to be focusing on in class this morning as well. All right, so overall, I'm looking for it to make a pretty big move, substantial move to the downside, and then eventually, you know, after we'll take it from there. Because if we keep getting more and more selling, it's going to be a long time before we get back up to that 15. And then the next one is CGC. So CGC, it's just because it's a pot stock, it's the ugliest out of all of them. You can see this pretty decent covering that came in at that 50 level. Hasn't really given a show of hand. I'm just putting it on the list strictly because it's a pot stock and it's going to move today. It's got a great range on average. On average, it was 255 yesterday, 950. But that's just because yesterday was, you know, was fun. Basically pot stocks ran the entire stock market and took basically almost all the volume. So something to look at. I don't see a show of hand in it yet. It's on the bottom of my list, but it's going to move. Next one, well, actually, that's all I have, but let's take a look at a few other things. So Facebook. So far in Facebook this morning, and that's not the right place, Facebook. All right, look at what Facebook moved up on yesterday. Volume wasn't terrible, but it was not, it was okay. And then look at what's going on right now. So Facebook is up from this morning. It started at 163.30 and it went all the way up to 164.30. Okay, moved about $1 on absolutely nothing. Look at this volume. Look at it. Nothing. There's no trading going on whatsoever in it. But if we look over at the prints ever since this morning, every bigger print has been a sell print. All right, so this is something I am still going to be looking. We know what prints we have down below, and it pulled up a bunch. Facebook's got a big range. Guess what? It's going to happen. So what I'm going to be looking at is for a trigger towards that downside. We didn't really get a show of hand at all today, but at the same time, still going to be looking for that 163.30. You can see at 554 yesterday, these prints came in, which is just a very odd time for them to for that to happen. That's a lot of prints at such a late time. So just very interesting to see this, but I'm still expecting to a short trade to be coming into this today. Could it pull up to 165 first? It would make sense. All right, not based off of how much it should be going, but it would make sense because it's going to act as kind of a magnet, kind of bring it back up towards there. But I do not expect it whatsoever to be able to break that. Do you think PYPL will move back up or have a continuous drop? I think PYPL and SQ, same type of deal, that they should not be where they are right now. I think that the market makers are building positions within them, and I think both of them have a lot more room towards the upside to go. There's nothing there to show me anything today. It's traded 4,000 shares, so there's absolutely nothing. But if you look at yesterday in the aftermarket, yesterday, we have about 500,000 shares. You look at it the day before, you have about 775,000 shares. So there's a lot of money that's going into this thing. I'm still expecting it to break up above that 93 with a vengeance. All right, anything else out there that I missed? Yep. All right. So the pot stocks are probably going to take a lot of the volume again, especially. I mean, TLRY is not even trading that much volume, but I would expect them to kind of continue today. Probably the best show of hand we've seen so far is in Cron. Cron's got to pull up, and then we're gonna be expecting a real big drop. I know shares are available. Make sure that you have them. A monster AMD. Well, AMD, we already know the story. This thing should be at 40 right now. I don't know why it's not, but there you go. All right, so now AMD's got a beautiful show of hand too. So pick your poison. Yeah, huge show of hand, no doubt. Absolutely, especially look at the orders out here. That is a gigantic show of hand. So pick your poison. Cron or AMD going to be your two highest probability. Okay, AMD pull back, and then before going up above 32, and Cron pull up before coming underneath 13. Simple as that. All right, guys. I will, okay, so class is going to be starting in 5 minutes at 9:15. I will see everyone there, and then everyone else I will talk to in the chat room. Happy trading.